exposed.
How do I bring out this camera?
Camera, it is projecting from.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hare Krishna. So today we'll study chapter 8 of Canto 2, section 3, verses 2.8.24 to 29, 24 to 29. Before we start, the teaching based on the teachings of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Seeking the blessings. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nishcham Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Srimadam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantastoya Bhadrani Vidunoti Surisada. Welcome to the class. In brief, the agenda is like this. I'll set the context for the chapter 8 and then the theme of the whole chapter, and I'll expand on the third theme. It has 3 themes. The final theme is what is going to be discussed, the disciplic succession, hearing and disciplic succession, and then we'll conclude the class. So chapter 8 is titled Questions by King Parikshit. These are inquiries that Parikshit made to his teacher Sukadeva Goswami. And the context for this chapter is that in the previous chapter, 7th chapter, in the 50th sloka, actually it's a conversation between Lord Brahma and his disciple Narada and son. He actually tells who is the supreme deity for everything. That is Lord Vishnu. He establishes that, and then Narada Muni actually was given the knowledge in brief. Brahma was given the knowledge in brief about the Supreme Controller's identity and his activities. So that brief information that was given to Brahma was further expanded by Narada. So, and he actually instructs Narada to expand this knowledge. So that sets the context. And immediately Parikshit Maharaj becomes inquisitive about what is the source of this, who Narada Muni actually spoke this knowledge and what did he speak about. And he actually had several questions in the topics of science of God, and he delineates those questions in the next chapter, chapter 8. So that's the context for the chapter. Then there are 3 sections in this chapter. The first section is titled, the theme is Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And then second section is Inquisitiveness. Third section is Glorifying the Disciplic Succession. So I'll quickly brief about each section, each theme and each section. So initially the first 1 to 6 verses cover the glorification of hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. In that Maharaj Parikshit actually, before asking questions, he glorifies Srimad Bhagavatam, the act of hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam from a pure devotee. So hearing Srimad Bhagavatam actually manifests Lord Vishnu in the heart of a devotee, and thereby and also he explains how he actually acts in the heart of a devotee. He acts it's written as Lord enters into the heart of the devotee who is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and he cleanses the dust of material association. So this is how the purification of heart happens, through hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And actually there was a nice analogy that was provided in the sloka. It says, just like autumnal rain falls on pools of muddy water, and that water that drops of rainwater actually purifies the whole pools of water. So hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is like that. And Prabhupada actually inside that compares how the mechanical process of chemical purification to compare to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from a pure devotee, or the autumnal rain. The autumnal rain can purify water in large scales, right? Like that, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam purifies so many of attendants in thousands, right? Unlike the other process of jnana and those processes actually are very mechanical, and they take a lot of effort, and they are chemical to they're compared to purification by a chemical, purification of water by chemical. The water, you can purify water, but you can do it in a limited quantity. You cannot do in large quantities.
Yeah.
So that's how Srimad Bhagavatam is compared to other process of purification of heart. And then he proceeds into section 2, which is verses 7 to 23. There are 16 verses. The theme is inquisitiveness of Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj asks many important questions about the science of God in this section. Bhagavatam means science of God. So some of the inquiries are like this. So he covers questions ranging all aspects of absolute truth, like how soul acquires body, how the body of Brahma, who is actually born of Vishnu, is different from the body of Vishnu, and how the bodies of living entities are different from that of Vishnu, and like that. And then he also asks about creation, subcreation, and incarnations, and how Paramatma acts in the heart of how actually Paramatma dwells and works in the hearts of people in the material world. In this way there are, and he also asks about pure devotion service and the process of yoga. So all aspects are covered in his questions. So we can understand from this, what we can infer is the depth of questions reveal the probing mind of a spiritually inquisitive person. So that's the point we can take. And then the eagerness of Parikshit Maharaj to understand absolute truth and the process by which absolute truth works in the material and spiritual realms. He wants to very clearly understand how actually absolute truth works. Like we hear in many scriptures, absolute truth is explained as great, all supreme, all great, but there is no clear definition of how actually that absolute permeates and works in every sphere of life, and within this world and outside the world. So this knowledge is essential for us to develop the spiritual vision. Otherwise, how can we see God in everything? It could be just theoretical understanding, right? Without such understanding of scientific understanding of. So that's the point we can understand. And it also reveals the taste for hearing Krishna Katha. He had developed the taste. That's why he is inquisitive. Why would somebody ask about those things unless he is inquisitive, right? He has the taste. So in Bhagavatam first canto, second chapter, there is this sloka Susruho Sraddhadhanasya, right? Vasudeva Kadarachi. So one develops the taste for hearing by rendering service unto those great souls who are pure in their hearts, who have no motives, right? So it is only through rendering service one develops the taste. So when one develops the taste, he becomes inquisitive more and more about spiritual matters. So this is how we can understand the heart of Parikshit Maharaj, why he is asking about absolute truths in so many questions. In this way, this section reveals the glorious nature of a spiritually inquisitive person. One who is spiritually inquisitive, his questions, that's the nature of him. I like that one particular purport. I want to read it as it is, 2.8.16, which sums up the whole section in a way. Those who are of the opinion that the devotees of the Lord are satisfied with mere sentiments can find in the inquiries of Maharaj Parikshit good lessons as to how inquisitive a pure devotee is to know things in their true perfection. The modern scientist is unable to know about the inner space of the universal horizon, and what to speak of the space which covers the universe, the spiritual aspect of it, right? So the Prabhupada nicely summarized the whole section, so I just brought it as it is. Actually, devotees are not just sentimentalists, as even propounded by other people in the other paths like jnanis, and they think that devotees are just mere sentimentalists, but actually they are most inquisitive. They want to know. They are actually, so this inquisitiveness actually clarifies that they want to know everything to their true perfection. So this is section 2, and today's section is third section, which is hearing in disciplic succession. So it's not sufficient that one is just inquisitive. He should also hear in disciplic succession. Otherwise, the whole purpose would be lost. He could just become a mental speculator. So this section primarily focuses on that, hearing in disciplic succession. Maharaj Parikshit concludes his inquiry. He asks several questions. He concludes in one sloka by glorifying his teacher, Sukadeva Goswami. There is one sloka for that. And then he also glorifies the act of hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, how it acts. Again, he repeats that. And then the second subsection within this section is Sukadeva Goswami describes Sukadeva Goswami's pleasure at hearing questions of Parikshit Maharaj, and which he prepares to answer in full in the next chapter. So that is the section's primary subtopics. One is glorifying Guru and asking questions in a humble, submissive spirit, and glorifying the act of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and the pleasure of the teacher in hearing these questions, because they are all talking about absolute truth, nothing else. So a teacher becomes happy to hear such things. And Sukadeva Goswami's preparedness to answer the questions. The section theme, hearing in disciplic succession. So here are the slokas. I just gave a one-liner on each sloka about what it talks and how it actually progresses in the section in terms of its purpose. 2.8.24, Parikshit Maharaj humbly requests Sukadeva Goswami to address his spiritual inquiries. Right? That's the right approach, right? The way it was prescribed for acquiring spiritual knowledge. And then immediately he glorifies, he understands, that's why he glorifies the position of Sukadeva Goswami in the disciplic succession, because he is coming in the disciplic succession. He glorifies his position in connection with Sukadeva Goswami. Then he glorifies the act of hearing of pastimes of Lord Krishna in disciplic succession. So in this way, it is all about hearing in disciplic succession. That was talked about by Parikshit in these 3 verses. And then the topic slightly changes, in which Sukadeva Goswami is now pleased. In the recipient side, Sukadeva Goswami is now very pleased to hear the questions of Parikshit Maharaj, because they are all about absolute truth, Lord Sri Krishna. And then he speaks about the origin, before talking anything more about Srimad Bhagavatam, the science of God, and answering questions of Parikshit. He first glorifies the position of Srimad Bhagavatam and the origin of Srimad Bhagavatam from Supreme Lord. and then he prepares himself to answer the questions, all the questions that were asked by Parikshit Maharaj. So this is the overall flow of the slokas in this section of chapter 8. Let's go and start reading from the first three subsection. First three slokas in the subsection 1. 2.8.24. Let's read together. Sarvam etaccha bhagavan prachato me nupurvasah tattvato risi sudhantam prapannaya mahamune. Translation. O great says, representative of the Lord, kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness in all that I have inquired from you and all that I may not have inquired from you from the beginning of my questionings. Since I am a soul surrendered unto you, please impart full knowledge in this connection. So after asking all the questions up to the last verse, which is 23, he humbly submits himself to his teacher and begs him to answer his queries that he has asked, as well as those which he hasn't asked, because he wants to know everything in full. That's his mood, original mood. So there are two key words which are expressing the inquisitiveness, and the second is prapannaya, the surrendering mood of Parikshit Maharaj in this verse, right? So those are prerequisites for hearing properly. So from the purport and what I... Shadimam. Yeah. So inquisitiveness is the privilege of human form of life. Only in human form of life one can inquire about absolute truth. No other form it is possible. So in many examples Prabhupada explains this, right? For example, if you hit a dog with a rock, dog just either hits you back or it comes back on you, or it just runs away. But if you hit a person with the same rock, what happens? He does the same thing, but he can do one more thing, which is he can ask this, why did you hit me, man? He will ask, right? So that questioning comes back, right? So that's the key difference between humans and other forms of life. So one should be perfectly inquisitive though. Inquisitive is not just sufficient, one should be perfectly inquisitive, just like Parikshit Maharaj we have seen in this verse. So how was he perfectly inquisitive? All inquiries he had done were related to absolute truth. Secondly, he is submitting in the mood of humble surrender. So both are quite fitting a spiritual aspirant, right? If one is not inquisitive about spiritual life, he need not approach a guru. Guru is not a fashionable object, right? So Prabhupada many times says, unless you are inquisitive, you should not approach spiritual master. Now we should understand who requires a guru and what are a true guru's qualifications, right? Because one must approach a guru. There is no other way for satisfying his true inquisitiveness about absolute truth. So one should really understand the guru's qualifications in this matter before approaching a true guru. So Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto 3rd chapter 21st verse says about is like this: Tasmat gurum prapajyete jignasu shreyuttamam. One should take shelter of a bona fide guru, being inquisitive about the highest good. So there is no other purpose in taking a guru, only to clarify, understand his questions about absolute truth. One should approach guru. And also in another verse, in Mundaka Upanishad, it says Tad Vijnanartham Sagurum Evabi Gachet. For understanding the transcendental science, one must approach a spiritual teacher, guru, a bona fide guru. There is no other way. and it's not sufficient. We should also understand who is a true guru, as explained in Samitpani Srotriyam Brahmanishtam. Right? A guru must have these two important qualities. One is he must be Srotriyam. The second is he must be Brahmanishtam, Srotriyam. He must have heard from his Guru. So it must be in a line of gurus that he must have heard. He cannot just become a guru by himself, as proclaimed by many people in the current time and age, right? There are so many teachers who say, and suddenly I had this realization that, on one fine night I sat and I became self-realized, right? At least before coming to Krishna consciousness, whatever stories I hear about any guru were like this only. I don't know about your experiences. You had any such experiences?
I mean, we not specifically, but yeah, that's the very common, very common thing.
Yeah, Vivekananda, or like by touch, or everything is all magic. Nothing is like I heard from my guru and I understood the purpose of life, and nobody does like that. So. And secondly, he must be firmly fixed in absolute truth. Firmly fixed. Otherwise, he cannot guide properly, right? He might be just dependent on a disciple. That might be his motive, right? So one should be Brahmanishtam. Then only he becomes a true guru. Okay? So that sets the context for a hearing from a true guru. So he was actually, in the previous verse, he was humbly submitting and all his inquiries and surrendering to his teacher. Now in this verse, he glorifies his guru, right? He glorifies the position of his teacher. Let's read out this sloka, how it goes. 2.8.25. Let's read together. Atra pramanam hi bhavan parameshti yatatmabhu apare chatutishtani purvesham purvajay kritam. There are few important key words in this verse. First, let me read the translation. Ogra, it says, you are as good as Brahma, the original living being. Others follow custom only, as followed by the previous philosophical speculators. He glorifies the guru in a disciplic section. That's why this theme actually became hearing in disciplic section. He is saying, you are as good as Brahma. Factually, we cannot understand this sloka unless we hear purports of Prabhupada. Why, if we read just the translation, it's very difficult to understand. Why is he comparing him to Brahma? The purpose is that because Brahma heard from Lord directly, and he actually gave this message to his disciple, and he is coming in that disciplic section. Sukadeva Goswami, who is speaking here, is coming in that disciplic section, and he is not changing the original message to its true purpose. He is calling it out as, you are as good as Brahma, the original living being. And he also talks about others, because there are so many other contemporaries for Vyasadeva, and who gave all the 6 darshanas. So he is talking about them. Others follow custom only, as followed by the previous philosophical speculators. He glorifies the disciplic succession. At the same time, he tells the lower position of hearing from mental speculator, other teachers who are not in the disciplic succession. So that is the primary message in this sloka. Prabhupada in the purport actually compares the empirical knowledge to transcendental knowledge. What is empirical knowledge? Empirical knowledge has its origin in the mind, right? Meaning all the people who are philosophical speculators, their knowledge is based on what the faculties or strength of their mind. That's all. It can't go beyond that. So the empirical knowledge is based on one's mind, and while the transcendental knowledge is not like that. Transcendental knowledge actually descends from Supreme Lord. The origin must be the Supreme Power House, the Supreme Lord. So that is the primary difference between those two. So Prabhupada focuses on this because this is important to understand before understanding why he glorifies hearing in disciplic succession compared to hearing from other speculators, mental speculators. Transcendental knowledge descends from Supreme Lord and is received in disciplic succession. So it is perfect. It has the characteristic of being perfect. Just like a ripened fruit from the top of a tree, if it just falls off, it loses its original form, taste, everything is lost, right? Though it's originally true, originally tasty, right? Like that, if it is handed over from one person to other person and it comes down to the ground, it retains its original shape, form, and content, right? So in this way, hearing in disciplic succession retains the original intent, content, and remains perfect when it is heard from the heard by the student in the disciplic succession.
So how would you explain to somebody who says, I want to think?
Yeah, thinking is...
I don't want to read all these things. I just want to think and figure out.
Yeah, thinking, you can think. You can think.
How
It's
would you
not...
answer that question?
So if someone asks why one should hear from Srimad Bhagavatam...
No, why I should not think and I'm capable of thinking, I'll just do it.
Yeah. So there are different levels of perfection one can get to. I mean, you can understand to some level, but the knowledge that is beyond your mind, you cannot get through because of your limitations, the defects that one has.
One person who came to a temple for the last 5 years, he's in my Discover Yourself, he said he wants to think on his own.
The thinking is
the way to go. And he's been eating prasadam for 5 years. So prasadam is also taking time to work.
Yeah, it takes. But at least he's coming to your class. That's...
His conditioning is very strong, sir.
Yeah. I have a similar friend. Recently we had arguments and all. Madhachandra Prabhu, me. So, yeah, like, it takes time, but at least he's coming to temple and hearing, at least that's partly good.
So if people are partially following, like coming to temple and eating, the result of our argument should not be that they go away.
No, that's why we don't argue, right?
Yeah, we don't argue. We should not argue. Yeah, that is, we should take humble position. Yeah.
We follow our script, right? We have a presentation, that's all.
That's
No
it.
argument.
No
In
argument.
case they're still coming to the
Actually, at the end of the day, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, so I don't even argue it. Oh, really? Oh, that's very nice,
Yeah.
interesting. Yes, you want to think. Can you think? And I give you some homework.
So even for people who come to Divines, I go back to the first session. If your process is helping you solve your 4 problems of life and saving you from threefold miseries, all the best. We
Yeah.
are giving solution to those,
Yeah.
and if you have it, you're good.
Yeah.
We probably let's try to
Let's try. Yeah. So,
keep to the question answers to the end.
yeah, well, let's keep question answer at the end.
Sorry.
There are, and Prabhupada in the purport actually compares hearing hearing in disciplic succession to other speculative process. He talks about the 6 darshanas. The defect of 6 darshanas is that they're all based on mental speculation of the sages, and so they are not perfect because the knowledge has its origin within the mental sphere, right? Within the mind. So always there will be a person who would be better than, who is a better thinker than the one who is the current speculator, right? So it always remains in a not so perfect state. One cannot be a spiritual master in perfection unless he receives and accepts knowledge in disciplic succession, Srotriyam Brahmanishtam. So this is how we should understand who is a spiritual master in perfection. Nowadays we can see, right? From our study we can understand who is really a spiritual master in perfection by understanding this sloka. So Sukadeva Goswami's knowledge is perfect since he received it in disciplic succession from Brahma, who is Atma Bhu, born and educated by Lord. Atma Bhu means born and educated by Lord. So because he received directly from Lord, he is capable of giving that same message to his disciple Narada. And then Narada further explains this to Vyasa. Vyasa further delineates this to his son and disciple Sukadeva Goswami. So it retained its perfectness. And so this sloka also helps us understanding who is an intelligent person. Who is an intelligent person? Intelligent, Prabhupada gives like this, like intelligent persons like Maharaj Parikshit do not recognize mental speculators, however great they may be, but hear from authorities like Sukadeva Goswami, who is non-different from Supreme Personality of Godhead by the Parampara system. Because of Parampara system, they are perfect and one should hear and do not recognize any mental speculators. Then he becomes an intelligent person. So this verse primarily compares transcendental knowledge to speculative knowledge, and he also explains about the position of a intelligent person. In this relation, we can say Parikshit Maharaj is the intelligent person because he is trying to hear in disciplic succession. Yeah. Now he glorified the position of his teacher. Going forward, he explains, he glorifies the position of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.8.26. Let's read together. Names
Parayanti Brahmana Sanadani Pivato Chitapayusam Tadvakya Abhivinishratam.
Translation. O learned Brahmana, because of my drinking the nectar of messages of the infallible personality of Godhead, which is flowing down from the ocean of your speeches, I do not feel any sort of exhaustion due to my fasting. This explains why actually Sukadeva Goswami is not feeling any tiredness. The whole Bhagavatam, for 7 days it was spoken day and night, but Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj as well as Sukadeva Goswami and so many other sages, they are not at all tired. Because it's because of the effect of Srimad Bhagavatam that is flowing from the mouth of Sukadeva Goswami like nectar. Pibato Chutapyusam. He was drinking the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam from the mouth of Sukadeva Goswami, which is just flowing like ocean, just you can imagine. Very nice. So the focus of learning in this sloka is hearing mental speculation versus Achyuta Katha. There are so many mental speculators nowadays we can hear, right? If you hear like 15 minutes, you get bogged down, you can't hear more because it's self-contradicting, right? I read so many books before coming to Krishna consciousness during my college. I used to always there was no clear conclusion. Always I never come to a conclusion. I used to get confused and yeah, that's my experience. In comparison, Achyuta Katha is, we can see the experience of Parikshit Maharaj, how he was just tireless, he was continuously hearing, without food, without water, just sitting in the same position for 7 days. The teacher is enraptured, student is enraptured, everyone is enraptured. So that's the potency of spiritual message. Dry speculations are not satisfying the heart. They're never going to satisfy the heart because that is on the mental platform, manomaya, right? Mental platform. It doesn't sink into the heart's level. It's just at the mental level. There is some satisfaction, some understanding, but it doesn't really satisfy the heart, the hunger of the heart, right? That's what everyone is having here, right? In this middle world. Samsara dhava nalalita loka. It's a burning forest fire of material existence. Everyone's heart is full of anxieties. One needs the Amrita of Bhagavatam that completely sanctifies the heart and positions Lord Sri Krishna in that place, right? And completely satisfies him. In contrast, messages of God from personalities like Sukadeva Goswami are never tiring, right? They are never tiring. How is it possible for Parikshit to hear Krishna for 7 days? continuously. That's what we discussed. And actually, Sridhar Swami comments about this in this way. In spite of fasting and being cursed, right? Parikshit Maharaj not at all tired because he is drinking the nectar of Lord's pastimes. Pibata Achyuta Piyusam. Achyuta Katha has to be heard from devotees in disciplic succession, not from professional Bhagavatam reciters. Prabhupada expands elaborately in his purport about hearing from Bhagavatam reciters to hearing from pure devotees. We should not hear, firstly he tells about you should not hear from mental speculators. Secondly, you should not hear from professional Bhagavatam reciters as well. Because what is the motive of that person? We should see that. The motive of the person is how I can sustain my family with this, what I earn from what I do here, right? They do it as a profession. So that doesn't really do real benefit to the people who hear. It doesn't transform their heart. It doesn't purify the heart. So it's actually not spiritual to hear from those who are not coming in the disciplic succession, because the intentions are not pure, need not be pure. So after glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, now Suta Goswami speaks. The context changes from Parikshit Maharaj speaking to Suta Goswami speaking. He speaks about the pleasure of Sukadeva Goswami on hearing the questions of Parikshit Maharaj. All this time, he posed a lot of questions. He glorified the disciplic succession and he glorified hearing Achyuta Katha. Now, he stops and Suta Goswami speaks about the pleasure of Shukadeva Goswami on hearing these topics. Sa upam mantri dho katayamiti satpate brahmarato shambhito vishnuratena samsadi. Katayam iti satpate. The topics of Satpate, absolute truth. Okay, let me read the translation. Suta Goswami said, thus, Sukadeva Goswami, being invited by Maharaj Parikshit to speak on the topics of Lord Sri Krishna with the devotees, was very much pleased. He is very, very happy to hear the questions, all the questions of King Parikshit. Katayam it satpate means the topics of Lord, the Supreme Absolute Truth. And the questions were asked by Vishnurata to Brahmarata. The word Brahmarata, I explained. Brahmarata means one who is protected by Lord Krishna. Vishnurata means one who is protected by Lord Vishnu. You know who is protected by Lord Vishnu? Parikshit Maharaj actually. Parikshit Maharaj. Brahmarata was Sukadeva Goswami. As per Brahma Vaivatra Purana, I actually couldn't get more details on that. So Brahmarata and Vishnurata both are protected by devotees. Who is protected by a devotee? The verse 9 point in Bhagavad Gita 9 point. Yeah, Daivim you remember the sloka number? I think 13. I think. Mahatmanastu Maham Partha Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha. So, Mahatmas, those who are not deluded, they are actually protected by Supreme Lord directly by his Daivim Prakritim, by his divine potency, divine energies. He is protected. So so it explains that both of these are Mahatmas. In fact, all the topics of devotion, like Bhagavad Gita, they're all talks between great devotees or Lord and devotees. They're never like talks between some random speculators or right. So we see from this that these topics, right? Bhagavatam is a conversation between Brahmarata and Vishnurata. And so Sukadeva Goswami is pleased because Parikshit Maharaj's inquiries prompt him to glorify Lord Krishna and speak about him. Right? It enables him to speak Krishna Katha. That's the pleasure of a Guru. Guru is not happy when we approach with our material problems. I mean, of course, he wants to help only to improve our devotion service, not for any other purpose. Right? But we can see in today's world, like so many teachers, they're only specialists in solving material problems. Right? So we should understand who is a true Guru and why one should approach a true Guru. It is only to glorify absolute truth. That is the position of a true Guru. And he becomes truly pleased. When Guru is pleased, who is pleased? Lord Krishna is pleased. Right? Okay. We started 15 minutes later, 10 minutes later.
9:45, 9:44 we started.
Srimad Bhagavatam can be discussed properly between devotees. Otherwise, the real taste of nectar cannot be relished. Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, we already discussed, are full of conversation between devotees in disciplic succession. Similarly, we have practical experience of hearing Srila Prabhupada's conversations, right? All of us here. They're always nectarian. The same message, Prabhupada speaks the basic points, but still they throw a new view to looking at it, right? And they're always nectarian. They're never boring, right? We always like to hear more and more. 2.8.28
Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Brahmane Bhagavat Proktam Brahma Kalpa Upagate.
Now, Sukadeva Goswami speaks for the first time after all these questions. He began to reply to the inquiries of Maharaj Parikshit by saying that the science of personality of Godhead was spoken first by Lord himself to Brahma when he was first born. Srimad Bhagavatam is the supplementary Vedic literature and it is just in persuasions of the Vedas. Before answering questions, he refers to the authority of Bhagavatam as by saying that it was spoken by Lord himself. It is direct. Vedas are direct knowledge, revelations of Lord, right? So he glorifies the position of Srimad Bhagavatam in that way.
At this point, is Sukadeva Goswami speaking or Sutta Goswami is actually explaining that?
Sukadeva Goswami replies. Sukadeva Goswami replies.
This statement is
Sutta Goswami.
Yeah.
Sutta Goswami speaking.
Yeah.
These last three is Sutta Goswami speaking.
I think he begins to reply. Oh, I think, yeah.
Sutta Goswami
Right.
Sutta Goswami is talking about
Yeah,
that
talking about
Sukadeva Goswami began to reply.
Correct. So we already talked about this. Sukadeva Goswami directly refers to the source where he received this information. The principle to understand here is a bona fide teacher always backs up his words with the statements of authority. He always refers back to other authorities from which he heard. He never speaks, this is coming from me and it is like this. It's never like that. Right? The message is received in disciplic succession from Supreme Lord to Brahma, to Narada, to Vyasa, to Sukha. Thus, Sri Sukadeva Goswami stresses the importance of hearing from authoritative source. What is the method of learning science of God? This is what this whole sloka is explaining here. To learn the science, one should take shelter of representative of Sukadeva Goswami, and means the person coming in the discipline, and follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit in terms of asking questions without foolishly attempting to interpret, thereby committing a great offense at the feet of Lord. It becomes an offense if you don't hear in the disciplic section. It's like praising Supreme Lord as you are the master of the village, right? It's a glorification, but it's still insufficient glorification. So we should hear. It might appear very much like glorification, but it's still not to the level of that Lord deserves. Okay, so this is the final sloka. Yad yad Parikshit Rishabha Pandunam Anupritchati Anupurena Tatsarvam Akyatam Upacharame. Translation. Now he prepares himself to reply to all that King Parikshit has inquired from him. Maharaj Parikshit was the best in the dynasty of Pandus, and thus he was able to ask the right questions from the right person. This again confirms the importance of disciplic succession. You should ask, as a perfect disciple, one should ask right questions, and you should approach only right person. Both are most important. Right questions. What are right inquiries? The inquiries about absolute truth. And the right person, as mentioned in again Samit Panis Srotriyam, one who has a guru by hearing from his guru in Parampara. Jnaninas Tattvadarshana. Why one should ask him? Because those people have actually seen the truth and they can impart the knowledge. That is the reason one should approach and inquire from a self-realized teacher in disciplic succession. Yeah, all of a sudden no one becomes a guru. Guru means one who has learned the knowledge by parampara system. The result is that he becomes a devotee and a guru. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So this is the overall theme of the section C. And I'll just summarize quickly. A sincere spiritual, this is the flow of verses. I put in the same lines in a little transformed way so that it makes sense for the theme. A sincere spiritual speaker should be very inquisitive and eager to know about absolute truth. Readiness from spiritual seeker. Then he must take shelter of bona fide spiritual master to receive full knowledge. He must take shelter of bona fide spiritual master about absolute truth to receive full knowledge. And a bona fide spiritual master comes in a disciplic succession, and his knowledge is as good as that of Brahma or the Supreme Personality from whom he received. One who is directly enlightened by Lord himself. Now, the nectarian messages of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the effect of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is explained in this. Nectarian messages of Supreme Personality of Godhead relieve all exhaustion of Parikshit Maharaj because of their potency and due to its being received in disciplic succession. The message is potent and received in disciplic succession. Sukadeva Goswami is very, very pleased with the inquiries because they are all related to the topics of Lord Krishna. And Sukadeva Goswami speaks about authoritative origin of Srimad Bhagavatam from Supreme Lord himself. Finally, Sukadeva Goswami prepares to reply to all the inquiries that Maharaj Parikshit made in this section, in this chapter, and that concludes this chapter. The next chapter actually starts with Sukadeva Goswami answering the questions of Parikshit Maharaj. Yeah, that is the whole summary of this chapter and section. Yeah, we are done with the slides.
The questions also.
Yeah,
so
let's
that's
start.
Also part of it.
Questions.
So anybody any questions? Any questions?
So can you show that initially in the slides you had shown what each verse is telling? One slide you had about all the
1
verses
second.
in the beginning.
Oops.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. Should I project it? 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay.
this is just the general question from my own application. So this text 24, I'm very inspired by that. It says, "O great sage, representative of the Lord, kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness in all that I have inquired from you, and all that I may not have inquired from you from the very beginning of my questioning. Since I am a soul surrendered unto you, please impart full knowledge in this connection." So when I read this, what Parikshit Maharaj is telling, then I'm feeling that he's one thing is he's totally surrendered to Sukadev Goswami, where he
Yes.
trusts him
Completely. Yeah.
Where he's telling that I may not have asked you, but if I need to hear, then you please tell me.
Yeah.
And then he's telling, like that eagerness is there for that spiritual conception, like to surrender. So, and I just want to, for myself, I want to know, like, how can I develop that thing in a day-to-day basis in current life in Seattle? Like, how can I follow Parikshit Maharaj?
How can we follow Parikshit Maharaj
Yeah.
in terms of increasing our inquisitiveness, right?
Yeah, and inquisitiveness for the supreme perfection and to please the supreme whole and the devotees, not for any other reason. Just maybe, I'm just asking for help because I can go in different tangents in my life.
Yeah. One thing we can do is we should be responsible to our authority. When we openly, speak to our authority who are fixed up in devotion service and take guidance and and inquire from them regularly and be very sincere in our efforts. Prabhupada sums up everything by sincere desire, right? The primary qualification is sincere desire. Once one has that sincere desire, he does everything automatically. Everything follows automatically, right? If one is very sincere in his effort and he completely believes and is taking and acting under guidance, it will definitely work. It will improve us. Yeah. Many times, at least from talking of myself, I need to improve that. I'm not like 100% responsible for like submitting myself to authorities. That's one thing I need to improve. Yeah.
So then when we are open with the authorities, then wherever the gaps is there in the sincerity also, then they will point it out to
Yes.
us and we can work on it.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So this is helpful, thank you.
So is it that Maharaj Parikshit asked questions and that pleased Sukadev Goswami? So we should think that when we ask questions, the speaker should be pleased with our questions. Is that?
It is not with that intention he asked, right? Originally, because he is sincere and he is in his questions, it automatically pleased. But what is in our heart only will come out, right? So we cannot hide it. We can act for a while, but actually what is in our heart will come out. So, and the teacher will tell why you are asking this question. If he is sincere, he will clarify that position as well.
Like once somebody was asking a question and Navagwan Maharaj said, "Before I answer your question, please tell me how is the answer to this question going to benefit you in your spiritual life?"
Yeah, that's another thing, right? So
Yeah.
I think Maharaj Parikshit asked mainly questions about spirituality.
And his
maybe
own growth.
his own, like how we can grow spiritually. Maybe that's why Sukadeva Goswami was very pleased with
Yeah,
him.
that's what
But if
that's
he
what
would
the
have
verse
asked,
was. That's
about
what the
how
verse
to
was.
actually grow my
A lot
kingdom.
of times our questions are very manipulative to get a specific answer that we want to hear.
Yeah, because that's why we should be very sincere.
Yeah.
We should not be
Yeah,
duplicitous.
yeah.
Or we
Specific
ask the
answer we
question
want.
so that the speaker says something so that somebody else hears it.
Yeah, that is even more manipulative. That is like battle with somebody.
Passive aggressive.
Or the question is
So the combination becomes perfect when the disciple is perfect in his questions and the teacher is Brahmanishtam. He is perfectly situated. That combination works out best. That's how the Bhagavad Gita was perfect treatise. Bhagavatam is perfect treatise because it was all discussions between sincere seeker and perfect guru. Sincere seeker, perfect guru. Even we can hear Prabhupada's conversations, right? They're all on the absolute platform, right? They are everything clarifies, right? Any number of times you hear, still you like to hear, because that's the platform. They become books for us.
And also, as you mentioned, that sincerity is important.
Yeah.
Even if we are asking questions, and to please means not just in pleasing in questions. I think what Matthew was trying to say, by whatever service we do and whatever we do, we please the.
That's a benchmark.
Yeah.
Like if speaker is happy, then that means I need to
Yes.
think that.
Yeah, that's what she meant.
Yasha prasade bhagat prasade, because that will please Lord Hari. We should actually, the desire should be to please Guru by our questions. That's not wrong, but just that
But
we should
not
be sincere and yeah,
Not superficial.
not superficially, duplicitously, just
Because
try to
in-
please
Yeah.
Guru just to get his attention. That is again sense gratification, right? To attract attention of teacher just for my pleasure is again sense gratification.
Mukunda Prabhu once said, hearing means acting.
Yeah.
So you ask a question, and you get an answer, then we don't act on it. Then why you ask in the first place?
I hear
That-
lectures every day.
That's again insult to Guru, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just superficially
You
taking
wasted their
instructions. Yeah.
So Prabhu,
At the same time, you should not be disposed in such a way that you don't want to approach Guru, to be away from Guru. Even that is wrong. Nor superficially asking is also right. So we should be, understand our position, introspect ourselves, and ask according to our level, and take the guidance and follow it, and improve ourselves to the next level, and then it's like that.
Prabhuji, all the assembled sages, they were also in the same discipline succession, or they were some of those Shata Darshanas or Six Nyayas?
I don't know actually. All the assembled sages, because they have taste for hearing Bhagavatam, at least they must be pure. Otherwise, that's my understanding. But I don't know exactly where all they come
What
from.
I heard about that, especially in the context of when it is said that why didn't Shukadeva Goswami speak about Radharani in detail. So one of the reasons somebody says that everybody in the audience was not at that level, or a pure devotee to be able to hear that.
To be ready for that
so,
message.
Yeah, so that's why there was thing. I remember hearing that there were some Gyanis also, but whether they are like, because the Shat Darshanas, most of them are atheistic.
Yeah, all of them are
that,
atheists.
that may not be there, but they may not be pure devotees.
But by the act of hearing Bhagavatam, they must all have become pure.
So in the Shad Darshanas, in the Shad Darshanas, one of them comes close, right? I mean, the first thing
Purva
is
Mimamsa.
purely atheistic.
Karma.
Yeah. One comes close to
Yeah.
the accepting the personal form of God. But in your slide, you had mentioned that all 6 Saddarshanas are equally to be rejected, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Back to that slide, please.
That's how Prabhupada explains.
Actually, it's not even 6 because the 6th is by Vedvyas. So I think the first,
Yeah, that's
the
what. It
5
should be
are
say
the
5.
the 5.
Yeah.
When I looked at that, I felt,
Yeah.
maybe it
Yeah,
should-
it's 5. But the 6th
So,
one
the
is
first
by
5. Yeah.
Yeah, because we cannot
The
condemn
first one.
Vedavyasji's
No,
writing
no.
while glorifying his writing in Srimad Bhagavatam.
The
No,
intention
no,
was to
it-
talk about the previous speculators,
Mhm.
not
The
the.
6th one is to refute the first 5.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the 6th one is perfect. It's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
6th one is Vedanta Sutra, right?
Yeah.
6th
By
one is
Vedvyas.
Vedanta.
So for Parishit Maharaj, it was easy to surrender to Sukadeva
Crossed it.
Goswami because
Just for your first
Yeah, I think
feeling.
that's the correct understanding. The other 5 are mental speculations. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all correct. They're all based on Vedas. They're all given by these great sages by asking Vedas, right? What is it? What is the question? From what everything comes, right? So that is the question they pose to all the Vedas, and they come to a conclusion without actually coming in a disciplic section. They're all correct to some degree, but not to the fullest degree.
question.
Yes.
So although the other Munis and Rishis were at different levels, at least there was one thing in agreement that Sukadeva Goswami was the best person to give the guidance to Parishit Maharaj.
Yeah.
So Parishit Maharaj's confidence in Sukadeva Goswami was not just on his own, but also by how the whole assembly of
Sages.
spiritualists
Yes.
are behaving.
Yes.
Right. So today there is so much confusion. that somebody coming to DYS class may also have heard from other so-called authoritative sources. So they are way more confused and the situation is much more complex. Just wanted to call out.
That is the
it's
truth of
easier
Kali
for
Yuga.
us to say Parampara is important and we listen to Srimad Bhagavatam and we have the best. Unfortunately, everybody in the market is also saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's very confusing for people on the street to understand
Yeah.
how we are different and
That is
better.
true.
So,
Yeah.
DYS is the hardest step for them to
That's
appreciate.
true. Appreciate. Yeah. But one who is sincere, Lord is within heart, right? He will definitely guide. Even those who are devotees of Lord Shiva, right? Many of them they turn and
That
become
is why, at
Krishna
least in
conscious.
my
One who is sincere ultimately
that.
comes to
But to
the right
say in DYS, at least I have not felt comfortable saying anything like the others are not that great and this one is.
Yeah, I think
Or
that.
even about Bhagavad Gita as it is, saying this is Bhagavad Gita as it is and others are not as it is. Because we know that, but for them to, like, they are going to others, they are also saying the same thing.
Yeah, it's,
So how
from their
they
level, it is
don't
not
have that
understandable.
kind of, so right now is keep it very. That's my.
But Radhakrishna Prabhu said that, like, I'm just correlating what you said with so many times. I think almost every class he was saying that they're not going to be attracted by what content we are saying. They're going to be attracted by how genuinely we are caring
Yes.
for them.
yes.
How genuinely we are
attracted by
loving
the-
them, developing a relationship.
That's how
with them.
They are
Prabhupada-
attracted more by the humility.
Again, without the motive that they will become a devotee.
Yeah.
See, the genuine care is just
Very nice,
genuine
yeah.
care. Like once Ekta Mataji and I went to him and we were sharing about Prabhuji with, Prabhu, like we are doing so and so things in women's program and all. So then I think I only said that, India Prabhu, for some of the ladies, their husbands also started coming for DYS class. So he could sense my consciousness. And then Prabhuji said, you don't want to think like that when you are teaching them or you are sharing anything with them. It has to be genuine, loving exchange.
Yes.
That's what I understood what Prabhuji said. He said, you don't go with the motive, I'm making devotees, they have to make their husband devotees, they have to chant Hare Krishna, they have to do this.
It's kind of fruitive mentality,
yeah,
right?
So he said, you just go and if you genuinely love them and care for them, they
They'll
will naturally
automatically
take up all
come.
those things.
Yes.
Very important.
And actually, Prabhupada,
Yeah, and give prasad also.
yeah, Prabhupada did the exact thing, right? That's why
With all the
Radhakrishna Prabhu was
deities,
referring
yeah.
to that. They were not even
Yeah.
understanding Prabhupada's words. The accent was totally, not acceptable for them. But still, they're just coming, just seeing the true, genuine care of Prabhupada, just like a father, loving a person. He was just
Yeah.
so loving that they were just attracted to his personality before his teachings. So that's what attracts.
Balaram Prabhu's point. In DYS, if we are not establishing the authority of Bhagavad Gita as it is, the introduction itself calls out. I mean, that is how I learned with Harilas Prabhu's personal classes, that the litmus test of how which Bhagavad Gita to recognize as bona fide is given in the introduction itself,
Yeah.
where Arjuna spells out
Yeah.
how he understood Krishna.
Yeah.
And and there is nobody better than Krishna, nobody better than Arjuna as a student of
As a
Bhagavad
student,
Gita.
yeah.
So if any other Bhagavad Gita in the market, out of 700-800 translations, is matching with Arjuna, then it is bona fide.
Yes.
If it is,
The conclusion to which Arjuna comes at the end of
if
hearing
the conclusion is
Bhagavatam, right?
matching, we are good.
Yeah.
If not, then you have to decide whether the person who translated is better than Arjuna.
Yeah.
And then I explained them about Arjuna's qualifications, about even going to Swarga and not getting attracted by Apsaras,
Yeah,
right? While he was a Kshatriya with multiple wives.
that's true. Yeah.
So that, and then Dronacharya giving him ability to withdraw the Brahmastra, but not giving it to Ashwatthama, his own son and a Brahmana. So it talks about Arjuna's qualification, and then if he understood it this way and heard it firsthand, right from Krishna, can there be anybody better than that? If not, then this is the litmus test for Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
So if
One should come to the same conclusion as Arjuna.
Yeah, because
That's the
if they live with the fact that this is one Bhagavad Gita, there are other 50 Bhagavad Gitas, and DYS class is complete.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay. So
But
I think
think
it's a longer,
usually
it's a little
feel that
longer
people
discussion.
generally just accept.
It's
They don't
it's
have
not
it in
a-
their mind
it's-
which one
the
to
thing
read
is,
from.
why-
They just generally accept, I think.
Yeah, by
Find
understanding.
So is it over?
So
Prabhu,
I think it's very individualistic in one sense. It's
Let's go.
obvious.